Yeah.
We got a full, you know, we can start it.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to call this meeting to order, Board of Zoning Appeals, Kokomo. If you have a cell phone, I would request that you silence it or turn it off. And we'll start with a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on our agenda is approval of the September 5th, 2023 minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed.
Ready for me?
The first item on the agenda.
Okay, I just want to let the two petitioners know that we do have a fifth member. He's running about 2 minutes late, so he will be here, but we will go ahead and get started. We do have a quorum, so. First case is case P22V23, the petition of Adam D. Hart, Keeler Webb Associates, requesting a variance of 75% to section 6.48E, parking in front of a primary structure in a C2 PD zone. This is at 930 Championship Way.
Do I have a motion and a second?
I move that we approve case number P22-V-23 and adopt the findings of the petitioner and those of this board and make those findings part of our records, please.
Second.
Does any member have any ex parte communication with this case?
No, sir.
Is the petitioner here? If you would explain why you're here and have to state your name and address for the records.
Certainly. Did you want me to wait until the other?
Don't have to.
No, the attorney told us to get moving, so. So we're moving.
it's your choice. If you want to wait for the full
Yeah, if you
board,
want to wait,
then
you can. He should
do
be
have a
here
right
any
to wait.
second now.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, all right. We can
Okay.
wait. We'll wait a couple of minutes, see if he just texted me about 3 minutes ago and said it was 2 minutes, so.
I'm all about being expeditious. I want to make sure I get 3 in.
Fair enough.
Why are they coming in now? That's all I
Landscaping.
Landscaping.
Yeah, a lot of landscaping.
They're gonna come in
Yep.
here
A lot of landscaping.
and here.
Okay.
Nothing.
Oh, no. Okay. That's what I was trying to look at. Okay. Gotcha.
No, this
I
is,
asked the attorney, I said, I'm tired of having these cases where it says we're waiving 25%. I said, why don't you change it? He said, well, if we leave it in there, we can use it against them, so we don't like. I said, okay. I guess that's why.
That's a way. That's something.
I got it, okay.
and then part of the problem is getting the trucks in and out.
Nope, I'm good. Donna, you wanna look at it?
Nope, I'm good. You showed me what I needed to know. It's fine.
Anybody else want to look at this?
No, sir.
Nope.
There he is. You state your name and address.
Good evening. My name's Adam D. Hart, I'm Project Manager with Keeler Webb Associates. Our offices are located at 486 Cradle Drive, Carmel, Indiana, 46032. We don't have access to audio visual this evening. I did bring paper copies that was going to be a part of my presentation, and it's the same information that we've submitted to Mr. Sheeline's office. We're here today seeking a variance for HSS Petroleum. They bought this property from Hinky Development in 2021. Had a little bit delay with the pandemic getting this project started, construction up and running and everything freeing up. They're ready to get started on this particular facility. HSS Petroleum is a franchisor for Marathon. They have stores throughout north central Indiana. They have 17 stores currently that they're operating with. Some of them are strictly convenience stores, some of them are convenience stores, gas stations like this one. And then this particular one will also have the potential for a drive-up food user that would occupy the building. The purpose of our being here today is that according to your zoning ordinance, you can only have 25% of the parking in the front yard. You can tell by the site plan, this particular site, while it's on the corner of Championship Way and Markland Avenue or State Road 22, we're surrounded basically on three sides by frontage. So it's pretty tough to have a small parking lot on this particular facility and then be in compliance with the strict adherence of the ordinance. So we have tried to align the majority of our parking to the north side, which would be away from the intersection and the major intersection along the State Road and Markland Avenue. We've tried to accommodate both our needs and city engineers' needs as far as placement and location of the curb cuts and circulation around the site. We've made a recent addition of some sidewalks that the city engineer wanted to have on the project, and then realigned some of our landscaping to be in compliance with that, and submitted the same plans that we're presenting as part of this project to your office, to the planning office also. On September the 12th, we met with the Plan Commission, and they approved the site development plan with conditions. One of the conditions that we come to the BZA and obtain approval for this development standard variance that we have presented here for you this evening. And then we've submitted findings of fact, which are on file, which we still stand behind and are not requesting any changes from. And then it's our intent that this project will meet all the local and state building code and zoning requirements. Surrounding properties will not be negatively impacted due to the millions of dollars we plan to invest in this facility, in this site, to get it up and operating and construct it. Project will provide necessary services to the community while not burdening the school system. And our hardship, as I said, is the three frontages. Normally you would have one frontage to be in compliance with the zoning laws. And with that, I'd be available for any questions or comments any of you might have.
Any board members have any questions? Mr. Sheehan?
Staff findings for part of the case P22V23. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The requested variance for parking placement will not create any safety hazards pardon me, block vision or impede on any property lines or recorded easements. The approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property located in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Granting the requested variance will allow the petitioner to infill a current vacant, oddly shaped lot with a new gas station. While a gas station would not ordinarily be allowed in this area, gas stations are expressly permitted within the PUD that the property is located in. The strict application of terms of this zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on perceived reduction of or restriction of economic gain. Petitioner faces a practical difficulty in that this lot has 3 frontages rather than 1, leaving only 1 area for parking to be located. If the variance is not granted, the petitioner may be unable to develop the site.
Thank you.
I have one question for you. Paragraph 3, you say UDO, what's that mean? On your,
Unified Development Ordinance.
do we have a unified board?
That's your zoning ordinance.
Zoning ordinance, same thing.
That's our zoning ordinance. Yeah,
But
yeah,
same thing, just different name.
correct.
Okay.
Yep, same thing, different name.
Okay.
Any other board members have any questions? Is this gonna have a drive-through in it at all, or
Yes, sir, on the north side of the building.
on the north side of the building?
Yeah, the stacking spaces will be on the east side, which would be the rear of the structure. And then the drive-throughs on the north side of the building. Again, we tried to locate that and position the property so that those activities are away from the primary room.
The drive-through will be between the building and that concrete area you have there?
Yes, sir.
Any of the board members have any questions? If there's no questions, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of P22-B-23, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Next case, Mr. President, is case P23, V23, petition of David Council requested a variance of 14.5% to section 6.48E, parking in front of a primary structure, and variance of 8.5% to section 3.28, maximum lot coverage in an IS zone. This is at 1401 East Faulkner Street.
Need a motion and a second.
I move that we approve case number P23-V-23 and adopt the findings of the petitioner as those of the board and make those findings part of the record.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any of the members have any ex parte communications on this?
Yes, sir.
The petitioner here? Would you step to the microphone and state your name and address for the records?
My name is Mike Duncan. I'm with Hearn Construction. Our offices are 1221 East Lincoln Road here in Kokomo, Indiana.
So do you have your petitioners?
Yes. The variance regarding the impervious area will not affect public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The site will overall still have an increase in green space from what it is currently, improving the site. The variance regarding the percentage of parking in the front yard has no bearing on public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The variance regarding impervious area will not cause adverse effect to the value or the use of adjacent properties. This project will significantly increase the value of all adjacent lands, and this value will be sustained with the ongoing usability of the facility and its essential features related to the growth of the church. The variance regarding the percentage of parking in the front yard area also has no bearing on the value or use of all adjacent land. The impervious area requirements per the zoning code creates a practical difficulty for Bridgeway Church in that it does not allow for the total parking count needed for the desired use and future growth needs of the congregation, especially since this is a corner lot. From day one of opening, the church anticipates 350 total users. At approximately 3 people per vehicle, 117 parking spaces are needed. The church anticipates that this number will double to 700 total members, visitors, and staff in the years to come, requiring as many spaces as possible. The maximum capacity of the facility is 741. Without a variance, and by maximizing the use of impervious surface, the church is limited to providing only 85% of the parking needed from day one of opening. Just 350 members at 3 people per car, which is of the 117 required spaces. Without significant unnecessary reconstruction of the private drive to the south. Bridgeway Church requests for a variance allowing for 78.5% site coverage, allowing for up to 152 parking spaces or 130% of the initial amount needed, allowing for anticipated growth. Granting this variance will ensure that the land is not vacated again in the near future when the church grows. The percentage of parking and front yard area requirements per the zoning code create a practical difficulty for Bridgeway Church, in that it greatly limits the total parking count needed for the desired use and future growth of the congregation, especially since this is a corner lot. In fact, only the minimum parking required by zoning is able to fit within the existing parking area and still meet these requirements. From day one of opening, the church anticipates 350 total users and approximately 3 people per vehicle, 117 spaces are needed. The church anticipates that this number will double to 700 visitor staff in the years to come, requiring up to 234 total spaces. The maximum capacity of the facility under construction is 741 people. Without a variance and by maximizing the use of impervious surface, the church is limited to providing 85% of the parking needed from day one of opening. Bridgeway Church requests for a variance allowing for 39.5% of parking to be in the front yard spaces. Granting this variance will ensure that the land is not vacated again in the near future when the church grows.
Any board members have any questions for the petitioner?
On numerous occasions, you continually say from day one, you knew what the, your parking and stuff was. Why didn't we ever hear about this way back on, number one, when we rezoned, and number two, at the plat meeting?
I wasn't part of that meeting, I can't.
Nobody was.
I think I can tell you, I think what happened. I'm gonna tell you what I think happened. They had contacted, Mr. Council had contacted our office. We went through everything. They presented the site plan. Let me back up. One of our planners back then told Mr. Council about these 2 potential variances. And then Mr. Council, I think, went, and there again, this is all supposition. I think he went back to the people at the church, and my understanding was they decided to basically redo the plan to take away the 2 variances because they didn't want to have to wait to go through the variances. So then they brought that plan to the Plan Commission, which we approved at the Plan Commission. They got their state design release, and then after that plan was approved, then Mr. Council called a few days later and said that the folks in the church decided that after they thought about it, that they needed to go ahead and redo the plans again and ask for the 2 variances because of the potential parking issues down the road. I think the good thing about it is, if I remember correctly, the church got moved back a little bit from the road, so it's not as close to the road. I was going to say this after I read the findings, but I'm a little concerned that, and Mike, I don't think you had any say in this, but the church was it was started long before some of this process got started. They started building, and I don't like that. And we can't have that. I mean, permits are granted for a reason.
Sure.
So, you know, I mean, if I remember correctly, even when we did the site plan, the walls were already going up, if I remember correctly. Is that, do you remember that, Mike?
Oh, definitely, I remember.
So that needs to stop in the future, and I think this is a good place to say it. And I would
I
certainly,
don't think that's accurate. I had building permits, the slab was poured, but we didn't have any walls up.
You had the footer
The
done,
date of the permitting.
you had the footer complete, the footer cannot be started until the development plan
Correct,
approval.
yeah, I understand that.
Well, then how'd that happen then?
Yeah, well, like I said, that was an error on our part, something we won't do
well,
again,
yeah, let's,
certainly.
please pass that along to the
Yeah.
owners, because we can't.
No, not a
can't-
problem. That's an error that we've already had that discussion, and
Okay.
that's been well communicated throughout.
I just wanted to bring that up to this board. That we-
So how much in scheduling did that error occur on your part?
On my part personally,
Her, you're representing him, I'm just trying to figure, all I know is, I've got a petition here, that scheduled a plat meeting and didn't show up. Then scheduled another plat meeting and everything was gonna be one way or the other. Then we go to development plan move, and I go down to get my car washed to come by and see that the footer is completely done, that is not even supposed to be started until the meeting that I am going to has approved it.
and see, that's, I'm gonna relate back to what Greg was saying, I wasn't part of that process at that point in time, so I can't answer that question for you. At this point, this is where I'm at, is with the church, is we are where we're at now. We have the plan that was approved, that's currently approved, with the permitting that's under structure. And this is what we're trying to get to now. I mean, what you're referring to, I honestly can't answer those questions. I wasn't there for that. I don't know that answer. That would, I could find those answers out, but I can't answer that right now. I don't know.
I'm supposed to vote before I have an answer, is the whole problem.
I understand, but I'm just going with the facts that I know right now, and I don't know the answer to that question.
I just want somebody from the church to explain to me, they knew what size the lot was when they looked at it. They knew what size of church building they was going to build. I assumed that they talked to somebody and asked for maximum lot coverage, how my building, how much parking places I've got.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, I mean, every instance that we go, the petitioner did something incorrect. I'm trying to find out who's driving the bus while we're playing catch-up, is my
Yeah, I
question.
understand. And that's why I'm here. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. I'm trying to get this back on the straight path. We weren't involved with the design process. The architect, the site, the civil engineer, the petitioners that you're referring to, that was all done beforehand to us getting involved. We did start the project without the permit. That's an error on our part. We discussed that. We've corrected that. But the variance that was explained to us was that we were going to apply for the variance. We were going to submit the original plan, which is what was submitted, so we could get our permitting, so we could get back in line with inspections and keep the building going itself, because our variances were related to our site work. The church's existing location, they have a certain time frame that they have to be out of that location. So time is not something that's on our side. So in the matter of why we went back to the original plan in June to get the permitting so we could get the building built, was to try to assist them so they're not stuck in a situation next spring or summer to where they don't have a building or a church to move into. Obviously, if we get too far in the winter, we can't do building construction, and our variances and our issues were all related to our site work. That's when I came involved. That was what the focus was for us as to why we went back to the original plan and then applied for the variance after the fact, which is why I'm here today applying for this variance. So now what happened prior to that, I do apologize, but I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't, how does it normally work? I just don't understand how this happened. If you're the contractor and you're not going to the meetings and the petitioner is going to the meetings, I would think you would have a basic conversation is, hey, I'm going to this is where I'm at in the process. When I get there, I'll let you know, and then we'll go from here to here. How did that never take place?
Yeah, I don't know. There's miscommunication, obviously, between the civil engineer and us at some point in time, so.
And Mr. Council had some surgery, and that's why he could not be here tonight.
And I'm sorry to hear you had surgery.
Oh, I am too. I get where you're coming from.
But I'm sure there's more than one person on that board, and it would be nice if we could have somebody that was in those meetings that could explain to us why he missed the first plat meeting. You know, there's just a lot of holes that I don't understand. I don't know why.
Any other board members have any questions for this petition? Mr. Sheehan?
Staff findings for case P 23V23. Approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The requested variances will not create any safety hazard, block vision, or impede on any property lines or recorded easements. Here describe the safety hazards, traffic views, property lines, easements, and or blocking visions, and if the variance will do so. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Granting the requested variances for lot coverage and parking will allow the petitioners to infill a currently vacant lot. With the new church building, this improvement to the lot will raise its value, as the requested variances will be contained entirely on the subject property. The neighboring properties in this mixed-use area will not be adversely impacted. The strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction of economic gain. If the variances are not granted, the petitioner will be unable to grow into their new lot as they wish. They face a practical difficulty in parking as they have a corner lot with two frontages. Again, as I read these findings, keep in mind that we've had discussions with Hearns about this process and how it should be followed in the future, so.
In looking at this map, it appears that there's a cutout on the hopper. Is that there now, or is that going to?
I think that's
It's
existing.
existing. All the cutouts are existing.
I think there's no new cutouts, I think they're all existing.
The church is going to face south.
Correct. The main entrance faces south, correct.
So to make sure that I'm understanding the facts and findings correct, there's 117 parking spaces that are needing, but you're requesting 152?
No, 117 is what will
117, yeah.
fit based on the variance.
Then what's the
The
152?
152 is what we would acquire if the variance is approved.
Are all these parking places based on a 180 square foot, 9 foot wide and all that?
Correct. Correct. For code.
Do you have any questions for petitioner? You're good to go. Anybody else on the board have any questions?
I got a question for council.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with the 25%, but I have a problem with the other one too. Want to break it up, or you just want to take the vote the way it is?
It would be up to the petitioner, I suppose. So each variance we vote, at this board, we can vote directly or on each individual variance. So if you want to bifurcate the two, you can, but that's up to the petitioner.
So you're saying to vote either on them as one or individually?
Correct.
Okay. We can vote on them individually. I mean, that's fine. Does that change anything as far as, I mean, 'cause when we applied for these, we actually applied for them originally individually, and then they told us.
And then they put them
Yeah, we
together.
combined them, so
It sounds like there might be,
I just want to make sure there's no issue in that.
well, I don't think there's an issue with the way it was applied, but it sounds like there could be some issue with one of the variances versus both. So,
Understood.
but it's up to you how they're presented. If you want voted individually, that's fine.
Yeah, we can vote them individually.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, we need to have a motion. We need to vote on each of them.
So, yeah, I think we maybe amend to allow voting for both variances individually. Entertain the motion.
Okay. I move that we approve case number P23-V-23 and vote separately on the two variances. And adopt.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to vote on these two separately. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passed for that. Now,
I would probably just do the parking first, since that's,
pardon?
I would do the parking first, what I would vote on first. The first and first,
Okay. On the variance of 14.5% parking in front of the primary structure, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion passed. On the variance of 8.5 to section 3.23 maximum lot coverage in an IS zone, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion is denied.
Thank you.
We have fourth board?
Thank you. Yep.
no, I have no business.
No other provision for one? Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed to adjourn.